Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has signed the 4.4 trillion naira 2026 budget into law, formally setting the state's fiscal framework for the year. The signing ceremony took place at the conference room of Lagos House, Alausa Secretariat, Ikeja, following the approval of the appropriation bill by the Lagos State House of Assembly earlier this month. The budget, officially tagged the Budget of Shared Prosperity, authorizes total expenditure of 4.4 trillion naira for the 2026 fiscal year. Senior government officials were present at the event, including Deputy Governor Dr. Obafemi Hamzat, members of the State Executive Council, Head of Service Bode Agoro, lawmakers, and other key stakeholders involved in the budget.
We are having the year 2026 budget that will be signed into law in Lagos State today. And recall that late last year, the budget was presented by our ever-performing governor of Lagos State on the floor of the House of the Lagos State House of Assembly. I recall that Mr. Speaker has directed all committees in the Lagos State House of Assembly to scrutinize this budget properly so that it can reflect the reality of today's Lagos. And I'm happy to announce today that members of the committees, most especially the Chairman Committee on Budgets, the budget has been well scrutinized. And I can say here today, and the budget has been approved by the Lagos State House of Assembly. And we have approved 4,444,509,000,000 naira that will be signed into law today. And the budget is budget of shared prosperity. And we are sure that the budget will reflect the reality of today's Lagos. Once again, I want to thank you very much for listening. Mr. Speaker sends his appreciation to Mr. Governor, Mr. Deputy Governor, and all the school members and everybody here present.
Mr. Governor, we salute you, we salute your courage. Mr. Deputy, we salute your team. Let the truth be told. It is evidence that the infrastructural renewal process in Lagos cuts across the nooks and corners in Lagos State. Nobody is left out with your Team Plus agenda. And that has transformed into this year's budget, which you christened Budget of Shared Prosperity. Lagosians are expecting that prosperity will go around the entire Lagos. Mr. Speaker, as represented by Majority Leader, has said it all. We have done the best we could as the House of Assembly to scrutinize the budget and do all that we can to make sure that we support you, because we wish you can be here for life. This is the last full cycle budget that your administration will be doing. And that tells us that we need to support you, which we will always do. And we pray Almighty Allah to continue to guide you, guide the state and the entire team of your cabinet. So thank you very much.
Governor Sanwo-Olu had earlier presented the appropriation bill to the State House of Assembly in late 2025, outlining a spending plan aimed at driving inclusive economic growth, accelerating infrastructure development, strengthening governance, and prioritizing people-centered policies.
To the 2026 appropriation bill, which is a total of 4,444,509,776,438 naira only, which is the total final budgetary figure that the most efficient State House of Assembly in the country has graciously brought forward for our accent. On behalf of the people and the government of Lagos State, let me thank the House of Assembly, but let me congratulate ourselves. This is a budget that you have had your full input into, you have scrutinized, you have dissected, and you have taken your time to do the very constitutional provision, which is enshrined in our constitution independently, to do due diligence. I want to thank you for the work you have done. Lagosians will indeed thank you. We will notice that there's a slight increase from what we put forward, but that goes to show that the independence that you have, and the fact that you believe that Lagosians actually also deserve more, and the fact that you believe that we also can do more. So we're excited and we're happy with the bill that you have brought forward here to us. For us in the executive, it is another opportunity for us to do the work and do it well. It's a budget of shared prosperity, has been properly christened, and sharing prosperity meaning that it's an inclusive government. It's a budget that must carry everybody along, irrespective of what part of the state, what division in the state, what sector. You must feel governance, you must feel the essence of why we're in government in one form or the other. If it's on the road that we're going to build, if it's on the schools that we're going to build, if it's on the health facility we're going to build, if it's on the various industries and engagement we're going to have, if it is on the various interventions, that we will do to enhance and to improve the quality of life, if it is for the security that we will provide to ensure that security of life and property is enshrined, these are ways in which the prosperity of every Lagosian will be felt in this budget in one form or the other. But gentlemen of the press, it's also a very difficult time, and a time that we all need to come up with our best foot forward. I'm sure you know that we entered into the year with a few challenges. We've had the incident of a massive fire in Lagos Island, which we're currently also ensuring that we can evacuate completely, that territory, and people can get back to work. But we will not stop until when we're sure that the place is safe and that security of life and property can be protected. It's also important that we also mention from some of the things that we have seen. Just this morning, you also noticed that there was a fuel tanker on Apapa that had to spill and was dropping fuel right down under the bridge, and we saw over 100 people scooping fuel. Thankfully, as our first responders and the police can again rescue people and can bring that, incident to a completely safe, accident-free situation now. These are some of the things that we continue to contend with. We continue on a daily basis. Opening this morning and seeing that accident and people taking the food and taking, and putting their life at risk and putting their life, at danger. If there was a spark of fire, you can imagine what will have happened, and it's not something that anybody wants to see, today. We're also aware that there has been a lot of, talk and agitation around, whilst we need to ensure that we show responsibility on both sides, refuse, being dumped on our road, on our highways, these are completely unacceptable, situation. It goes to show that we do not have regard and respect for one another. Whilst we will, in this year's budget, also enhance and improve the capacity of LOMA and the PSP. We will ensure that we very quickly also increase their fleet of compactor trucks and all the equipment that we require to keep the city, clean, safe. I think it's important that we are all, we all have responsibility. We have PSPs that are working, and people cannot come out, after having all of the holidays in December and January, and just want to begin to litter, the streets, and we will not condemn, and we've given instructions, to Loma to not only apprehend, to also see how we can charge people for environmental flaws, whilst ensuring that we do our bit, giving them all of the required equipment and logistic support that will enhance and improve, their work. I think these are some of the things that this budget, in our view, will speak to. These are some of the resolutions that we'll speak to. The other matter, which I'm also looking straight into the camera, and I'm telling gentlemen of the press, is on demolition. There's been several, issues and stories here and there on what we're doing. They mentioned that we're doing Makoko and the rest of it. You see, people need to understand that it is a big city we're dealing with, and emergencies and safety of life and property is still the paramount thing that we need to safeguard. I just explained to you that a truck, a 33,000-liter fuel tank on a bridge spilled, and over 100 people used. You've seen it on social media. Scooping, we had to push our first responders to be able to cuddle off the place. If anything had happened, it's not what we'll be talking about that we'll have seen this morning. It's the similar thing that we're doing. Of what interest will it be for government to want to unduly demolish anybody's? What interest? If it is not for the overall safety of these citizens that we're talking about. A lot of these people have built the shanties. We're not talking about, poor and vulnerable people, but we have responsibility to also protect you. Build shanties right under the high tension wire, and the regulation is there that you need to clear between 150 to 250 away from the regulation line. So what we're doing is that we're not demolishing the whole of Makoko. We're clearing people not to get to Third Mainland Bridge and to stay off behind the high tension. We're aware that there are some local and international NGOs that want to profit from this. We're studying and we're going to show you evidences. They've made so much money from international people, and that they've asked for so much grant and wealth into those places, and it's just for them to cover their own lies and the fact that they've not done what they said they were going to be doing. That's why they're all shouting and crying more than the bereaved. And we're here to face them and to let them see the reasons why we have to do what we're doing. And I've also given instructions that whatever additional support we can give to them, we've been on this for 2.5 years. We have evidence, we have videos, we have communication that we've done for them for 2.5 years. 2.5 years. And I can share them with you. That we've had meetings with them, with all their ballers, all their community leaders, and we all agreed. The last summit was meant to be December 2024. We extended all throughout 2025. And so we cannot, be a lawless state of people. Something has to give at some point, because we cannot fold our arms and let calamity or disaster happen. And that's the kind of thing we talked about in the building that happens on Lagos Island, where they turn it into warehouses and the rest of it. So we're not going to fold our arms and let this kind of thing happen again. And by the way, I've also instructed both the local government and the various ministries concerned to see how they also can give additional support, palliatives, some relocation grants to some of these people, just to show compassion and to say that, right, you've done wrong, but government can still also show compassion and be compassionate about you. That's what this is all about, is to ensure that we all can live in a safe and secure environment where your own right ends is where another person starts, and we have the global responsibility to ensure that we continue to keep this place safe. If it amounts to the fact that we're going to push you away in the name of demolition of what it is, we will do it, but we'll do it responsibly. It's not because we have any other ulterior motive. It's not because we are trying to protect anybody. It's because we're doing it in the collective best interest of our state. So, gentlemen of the press, just once again, I want to assure you that this budget will be implemented responsibly. We will put up our A grade to ensure that accountability and value for money is created such that at the end of the day, Lagosians will feel the benefit, of this great work that the Lagos State House of Assembly has done for us. Thank you very much.
State officials said the budget will be closely monitored to ensure funds are effectively deployed toward projects and initiatives that improve living standards and sustain development across Lagos communities.
This budget reflects deliberate planning and it strengthens the foundations for a more resilient, competitive, and people-centered Lagos, one that is equipped to address present challenges while positioning for future growth. With a total proposed size of 4.2 trillion, which was reviewed upward slightly to 4.444 trillion by the Lagos State House of Assembly after legislative scrutiny and committee engagement with ministries, departments, and agencies, the year 2026 budget represents a bold yet disciplined fiscal response to prevailing economic realities. The expenditure framework adopts a balanced structure comprising 2.337 trillion in capital expenditure, which represents 53% of the size, and 2.107 trillion in recurrent expenditure, which represents 47%. This balance reflects a clear policy choice to sustain strategic infrastructure investment whilst ensuring the efficient delivery of essential government services that directly affect the daily lives of Lagosians. The strategic focus of the 2026 budget remains clear and consistent. The administration is prioritizing economic affairs with deliberate emphasis on infrastructure renewal, transportation expansion, agricultural development, and other growth-enhancing initiatives that stimulate productivity, support MSMEs, create jobs, and drive broad-based economic growth. Investments in health and education also remain central to the budget's shared prosperity agenda, reinforcing the administration's firm belief that human capital development is critical to sustainable development. These interventions are targeted at improving healthcare delivery, strengthening educational outcomes, and equipping Lagosians with the skills and capabilities required to thrive in an increasing competitive global economy. In the same vein, the budget's focus on the environment underscores the strategic response to climate risk, environmental sustainability, and urban resilience, whilst renewed attention to housing supports access to decent shelter and the continued development of livable, inclusive communities across the state. Further reinforcing the people-centered focus of the budget are targeted interventions in public order and safety, and social protection and recreation. Culture, religion are also not left behind, ensuring security, social inclusion, and community cohesion are all an improved quality of life for residents across the Lagos State. As the ministry statutorily responsible for economic planning, budgeting, monitoring, and performance evaluation, we approach the implementation of the 2026 budget of shared prosperity with a clear sense of ownership and responsibility. Based on the recorded 81% performance of the 2025 budget as at 30th September 2025, this performance provides a solid and credible foundation for the effective implementation of the 2026 budget. Permit me to express sincere appreciation to Mr. Governor of Lagos State, for his leadership and policy direction, the Deputy Governor for his consistent support, and the Right Honorable Speaker and distinguished members of Lagos State House of Assembly for their partnership and all stakeholders whose collaboration remain critical to successful budget delivery. My appreciation also goes to the Ministry of Economic Planning, the Permanent Secretary, Special Advisor, and the Director of Budget, and indeed all the entire staff of MEPB, whose professional dedication and teamwork were critical to the successful development of this budget. We at the Ministry of Economic Planning and Budget remain fully committed to deliver on this mandate through robust monitoring, strong interministerial coordination, performance tracking, and transparent reporting, ensuring that the objectives of this budget translate into real and sustainable development gains across the state. Thank you very much, and God bless Lagos State.
Thank you very much.
With the signing, the new law provides the legal backing for the implementation of the state's 2026 spending programs, with allocations expected across key sectors such as health, education, housing, security, transportation, and social services.